We can have waves literally crashing over and literally flooding the firing site with rain, and it's not a very nice place for setup. This is one of the most important pieces of equipment in the fireworks firing site. So this is called a firing rail and a firing module, and this is what connects to the computerized firing system that fires the fireworks. Each firework is plugged into 2 of these pins, and then when the computer says it's time to fire, it will send a pulse of electricity down there, and that ignites what we call an igniter that goes into the fuse of the firework, and then that fires off the firework.
So feeling quite fortunate that I'm holding one of the fireworks that's going to get fired during the British Firework Championships. This is one of the, is it fair to say, smaller shells, Andy, or is that not the case?
Yeah, these are 3-inch or 75mm cylinder shells.
Yeah.
And these are actually really high-end. This one is from Italy, and it's little snakes. And this one is from Spain, and it's a Campeonato effect, which is those big, long, golden trailing effects that we see in the sky. These are really high-end. One of the products that would normally get used in a competition would be Chinese fireworks. The Chinese make amazing fireworks, the quality of them. But if you really want to go to the top drawer product and have the absolute most impressive display, then you want European fireworks. They're seeing Italian and the Spanish, and I'm sure they've got other stuff here as well.
When you've got the different teams here, they presumably don't know what each other are going to do. So you're just going off your own bat to make the best display. When they come down here to work, just by looking at the setup each team has, are they able to kind of get a bit of a gauge as to what they're up against?
Yeah, you can tell from looking at, you see all these racks here, they're all angled out. And also the fireworks at the front that are angled out. You can tell from that we've got a big, wide display rather than one that's just firing up. And there's a lot of difference between teams that just fire their fireworks straight up, which we do see a lot at Plymouth, and those that create the maximum width.
Well, having a look at some of the larger of the fireworks now, Andy, this is an 8-inch shell, isn't it? Not actually as heavy as it might look. I'm loath to drop it, so I am going to pass it to you, because you mentioned this is an instant fuse as well. So this is, you know, if it goes off, it's going off.
Yeah, these are the largest fireworks that we're allowed here at Plymouth for safety distances and to keep the public safe at all times. So this is an 8-inch shell. And a firework like this one is a golden willow with Camuro horsetail. It's from an Italian company called Sampio. A firework like this is going to go in a finale of a show, and in fact this one, it will be the very last fireworks that we see. So they are the absolute pièce de résistance, the finale that you see, and quite incredible. But there's lots of different parts. As you say, this is the fuse, an electric igniter which goes into the firing system, gets connected to the end of this, and then it gets plugged into Q82. The fire is taken by this fuse down to the bottom of the firework, and this bit at the bottom is basically a bag of gunpowder. It gets launched into a tube, not this one's too small, but it gets launched from a tube like this. The bag of gunpowder ignites. It fires it like a cannonball up into the sky, and there's a little timing fuse that goes into the middle of the firework, and when it reaches the peak of its flight, a pre-timed time, it bursts. There's another bag of gunpowder in the centre, shatters the case and sends all the stars outwards, doing its amazing things.
We've had a look at the shells, Andy. This is something a little bit different. What are we looking at now?
So these are what we call single-shot fireworks. They fire once, but you can see that they're arranged into a different fan array. And what these do is these will go off on a particular beat and produce a projection of sparks or stars or particular effects.
Now, all of the different display teams here, they've got different setups in order to make the fireworks look as amazing as possible. And they include rigs like this, I guess. What is this, Andy?
Well, this interesting steel contraption is for single-shot firework. And what we do is we put them into these little holders, so they come out, they're about this high, and it will make a beautiful plume across the sky. So we'll see a real big, wide, like a peacock's tail, all coming out from this. So this is just a design element that sets one company apart from another. You know, some people will do this with single shot just on lots of different sites, but you can only do this effect with this piece of product. You can only do this effect with this piece of product.
Well, it was really interesting getting to head over to Mountbatten with Andy earlier. Andy, when we're going along and we're looking all of that there, it kind of it makes me wonder, as we mentioned with the weather, the risk of maybe some fires this evening with the wind.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said earlier, wind is the biggest enemy of the fireworks display. We can work in the rain and snow and everything else like that. But wind, one of the things that it happens sometimes is after a firework has functioned, it still stays hot. There's a lot of heat produced by the functioning. And we get tiny little glowing embers left on that firework. And when you've got an exposed location like we have out on the Mountbatten breakwater, the wind comes across and it fans those sparks, and actually the firework can catch fire. And one of the things that we're quite used to seeing after the shows have performed is small fires, and the teams go out there and put those out. It's a normal part of what goes on. So I think we can expect that tonight. But tomorrow night we've got a lot more winds. Very, very different night on the forecast. Tonight is wind from the northwest. 6 miles an hour, gusting to 13. Tomorrow, the wind southwest, and it's 12, gusting to 29. But it's going to be gusting to 34 during setup. So that's not going to make much pleasant work during the daytime.
Well, you're glued into the radio set, so if anything changes or if there are any dramas that happen over there, we will be the first to hear about it because of you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have, as usual, our man out there, Anthony Green, is in amongst the teams and with the adjudicator alongside that, so we can get the latest updates from the breakwater. And the latest one I've heard is that all shows are testing correctly, and about 2 minutes ago we got the 15-minute warning. So we look like we're pretty much heading on schedule.
Great. And you mentioned adjudicators there. Let's turn our attention to the judges, because it's not just about looking at a beautiful fireworks display. There is criteria that the judges are looking for. What are they looking for tonight?
Well, the judges are located this evening up on the top of the Citadel, up on the top of the wall. They've got a brilliant view. It really is the best place in the house. And we've got 3 different types of judges. This year we have, as well as technical judges who are experts within the firework field, who will be looking for different quality of products, different types of material, the way it's used, the symmetry, the timing, things that perhaps some people wouldn't always notice, but a technical eye will really sort of compare one to another. Then we've also got lay judges. Lay judges are selected from the local community here in Plymouth City, and they will be looking for different things. Some of the things that most of our audience, like the size of the show, the width, the wow factor, the noise that it makes, the colour and so on. And then also this year we have the youngsters, the Children's Choice Awards, and those were a team of expert young judges. We started them last year, and they came up with an amazing result, and we've got them going back this year as well.
Well, lots of different people to impress then over the course of the 6 displays. We're going to see 3 tonight and 3 tomorrow. How do the teams that take part in this competition actually get picked?
Okay, so the competition is run by the Event Services Association. Jim Winship runs the competition. He's been running it for 27 years here in Plymouth. You write to them. You need to be an established firework display company in the United Kingdom and have all the necessary insurances and things in place. You write to them and your name gets put in a hat. And they're drawn out of the hat by the mayor. And then a really important thing that happens is the mayor also draws the firing order, because nobody wants to have a psychological competitive advantage by firing last or firing first. Yeah. And so they're drawn from the hat by the mayor, and then that's kept confidential for a period of time, just so that the teams can make their shows up and so that they're all balanced across it. There's always been a thing at Plymouth that nobody likes firing first on the first night. Yeah. Because they think that perhaps they won't win. It's not true. You can do very well from first on the first night, but I completely understand the reason. I wouldn't want to go first on the first night if I had any choice. No. So they get told when the firing order later on.
Okay.
It's just so that they do the same shows.
Yeah, well, I mean, somebody's got to go first, and we will have a look at our running order. But you mentioned Jim Winship there. I caught up with Jim earlier. He is the director of the Event Services Association, who are partners in the running of this event. And one of the first questions I wanted to ask him was, what makes Plymouth the perfect location to stage an event like this?
It's probably got the most perfect amphitheatre for doing fireworks, because we can safely set up these huge fireworks out here on Mountbatten Breakwater, and everyone can watch from a distance away and see a most spectacular displays. Are really safe to do. So, I mean, it's brilliant. Brilliant. You couldn't find a better venue than this.
Working on an event like this where pyrotechnics are involved, does it add a certain extra element of organisation for you?
All events need to be safe, and I mean, we work hard to try and make sure that's the case. Fireworks obviously are a high risk because you're dealing with explosives, so we have to be really careful here, and we have set very stringent rules in terms of what can be done and what can't be done.
And particularly, you know, in this day and age, a lot of people are conscious of being more environmentally friendly. How can that element progress in the firework industry?
The industry is doing an awful lot. I mean, there have been some detailed surveys done on events, and actually the footprint of a firework display is fractional compared to the footprint of the public coming to watch it. So well, we're still doing a lot to try and make sure that we can do things like remove all the plastics. We've got rid of most of it, but there are some elements we just can't, at the moment, find alternative materials. But we're hoping in the next couple of years that'll change as well. So the more we can find ways of doing things in the most ecological way we can, the better for everyone, really.
And the judging of this competition, all of the teams here, they want to be the best of the best. How does the judging setup work?
Well, we have two panels of judges. We've got a professional panel, which are people from the firework industry or involved in organising firework events. One of them, for example, has been involved in organising the New Year's Eve displays in London. So they really know what they're doing, and they'll judge all the techniques and things that go up. But we also have a lay panel, which is made up of local people, and they judge the wow factor of the event, which is all the important bit, really, because that's what entertains people.
Okay, Andy, a lot to play for this evening, a lot at stake. So I think we should probably start by taking a look at our competitors that are taking part in the 2024 British Firework Championships here on the screen in front of us. This is the firing order for tonight. We've got Smart Pyrotechnics taking off first, followed by Sky Rascal Fireworks, which is always a fun name to say if you're a Janna like I am and do your hard A's, and Pyrotex Fireworks there at the end. I mean, Andy, when you look at those, we've got a great night one happening, and then you see Thursday as well, anytime fireworks. Thursday, celestial firework displays, and then BBB fireworks will be ending the whole thing. And there's some old names, but also some new names in there.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some real experienced companies here and also some new ones. And I can just tell you, Erin, that we've just had the green light from the King's Harbour Master. The water marshals have done their job making sure that everybody is out of the keep-out zone. And the King's Harbour Master and Event Control have given the go-ahead for the first display in just a few minutes from Smart.
That's fantastic news. So far, everything's going to plan.
Yes, everything going to plan.
Wonderful. So Smart Pyrotechnics will be the first team to fire tonight. From Wiltshire, that's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, Steve Martin is the guy in charge there. They're based near Salisbury. They have a very special show lined up for us. He is a real experienced chap within the industry. He's told me about some nice frontline sequences. So those are fireworks that start on the ground and go halfway up into the air. They should be a bit different. He's got cakes inverted the wrong way round. Z-firing cakes, which arc back and forth like a searchlight in the sky, reversing over each other. He's got a raised slice position. Now, he actually showed me this. What it means is he's going to be able to do 180 degrees of fireworks from one ground level all the way over to the other. Really quite spectacular. We saw them last year for the first time. A brocade finale. There you go. First one of those.
You mentioned that earlier.
He says a little bit different to the normal brocade finale, and there's going to be some double brocade palms in there, which will be very nice shells. They're looking to place in the top 3. He says he's not sure whether they're going to be quite able to capture the likes of Pyrotex and BBB.
Yeah, I was going to say, talk to me a little bit about Pyrotex, because you mentioned the running order, maybe Smart Pyrotechnics not loving the fact that they're first, but someone's got to go first, and we're very much looking forward to see them. Pyrotex, you know, last slot of tonight, quite a tasty slot. They're new, and they've got lots to show off.
Yeah, they're new here, but they're not new around the world.
Oh, yeah, they are not new around the world.
They've worked all over the place, but so has Steve. I mean, Steve's worked in France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Philippines, Thailand. Courchevel in France is a beautiful location in the skiing part of the French Alps, and he's done it 6 times and won it 4 times. And he's competing representing the UK at a competition called Pyronal in Berlin on the 31st of August. So Steve from Smart knows how to put on a show as well, but he's saying he's not sure whether he can catch up Pyrotex. But Pyrotex could have a problem. They could have a firing system failure. There are so many things. That's the great excitement about this competition. You never know when there's going to be a bit of a wild card served, something you're not expecting. No,
and in the middle, we must mention Sky Rascal Fireworks as well. Another relatively local team, Somerset-based.
Yeah, absolutely. Sky Rascal, based just outside Weston-super-Mare, they have really put in a lot of effort into designing their show. I'll tell you a bit about that when we come onto their show, but there are lots of things to look out for. They're all really having a go, but they're also very wary that there are some people that will really give them some good competition.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are maybe in for quite a special... I mean, we're always in for special British Fireworks Championships, but in particular, we're going to be in for a really good one tonight. Starting with Smart Pyrotechnics, let's meet them then, the first team to fire on night 1.
Hi, I'm Steve from Smart Pyrotechnics, and we're here in Plymouth shooting the British Fireworks Championships tonight. We're from Wiltshire, and we're going to bring you something a little bit different, we hope, tonight for the judges to look at, and obviously the audience. It's a fast-paced show with lots of different sequences, and an ending that we hope is going to be slightly different to everyone else, but it's going to wow both the audience and the judges.
A nice little explainer from them there. And we're calling them Smart Pyrotechnics, but having been down there and had a chat to the team earlier, they actually originally started as SM Art because they wanted to bring a real artistic flair into their displays.
Yeah, absolutely. He is a real skilled chap in designing the shows. He knows what to do in a competition like this. And actually, I can tell you from the waterfront, from the breakwater, their firing system is now armed. All that is between us and them is one press of a button, and then the show starts. So literally, we'll be waiting for the countdown in just over a minute's time. We should be able to start on time.
Yeah. When you say one button press away, who gets the privilege of being the button presser? Is it the team captain usually?
Yeah, I imagine it's Steve. Smart are using Fire One firing system. Any of our viewers around the world that are into fireworks, Fire One is one of the biggest systems. It's used for large shows all around the world. So he will be ready. But we've got the 1-minute warning for Smart Pyrotechnics show. And if it's me, my finger would be hovering over it, making sure I don't press it by accident.
Yeah, oh my God. I mean, it's a big, it's a big task to do. We certainly don't want to talk over it. We're coming up to the 30-second mark. If you can surmise in 20 seconds, 15 seconds, Andy, we in for a good start this evening?
Oh, we're in for a really good start. We are got a massive variety of different fireworks. We're going to have all the colours. Look out for that brocade finale. Look out for those sequences that are 180 degrees, starting all the way from one side to the other. I think the shells up above, we're going to look at fireworks at different levels, all of that coming together. Yeah. But I'm going to get, here's the countdown. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Here we
2,
go. Night 1
1.
Smart Pyrotechnics. Right, there we go. The first firework of the night. Smart Pyrotechnics, the British Fireworks Championships 2024 are underway. Andy, how was that for you?
Yeah, that was a very good show. We saw some very nice products. We saw things like, did you see that big 180-degree wide thing? We saw that fairly near the start. Jellyfish shells. We saw some beautiful jellyfish shells going off in the sky. They had, half of them were a blue kind of sphere or circle, and then the golden legs coming out at the bottom. We saw horsetail shells with gold glitter ends. A horsetail shell is something that literally starts in the sky and just comes down and gradually goes down towards the ground.
I have to say, as we were watching it, I wish the microphone had been on for everyone else to listen to you explaining all of the, the different scenes we were seeing with the jellyfish, with the horse's tail, because so much of it's actually got its own unique name that completely explains how it looks.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got here brocade effects, those big golden trailing effects in the sky, and they've got a lovely little turquoise centre. You will become an expert by the end of these 2 days, Erin. I can guarantee it. I've already started to use falling leaves and horsetails and so on. So yeah, we did see lots of different things. Here, a farfallus effect. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I'd be killed, but. That is a butterfly effect, and they're absolutely beautiful. We saw ones here with blue, and then towards the end we saw a load with red centres, which are really, and these are double ones, so they've got 2 layers of them going off. And then we've got gold effects. And can you see it's a little bit unbalanced? Down at the bottom, you've got more effects then going off to the left and to the right. We saw that once or twice during this display. Steve might be a little bit disappointed if he was seeing that square on. There was a little bit of more bias to one side than the other. That could be because there's a firing system problem. They only need to have one of this many, there may be 50 or 100 bits of computer equipment out there. You only need one to go wrong, and then you don't have the effect. There's that horsetail effect, and that was really, really special. It's a golden horsetail, and then there's that beautiful gold flashing effect, gold glitter, right at the very end. They were very, very special. And then we also saw, did you see the ring shell sequence during the show?
Yeah, there were, I think everybody saw, we got a ooh as, as that happened.
Absolutely. We saw lots of different coloured rings, red and blue, and then double rings and triple rings, and it was very effective. And we had that massive finale. But here we go, learning some more firework terms. Yep. These are falling leaf shells, and they look like they're coming down.
Gently kind of down towards the surface of the water there.
We've seen them in red and green and probably some other colours in the show. One thing to look out for is let's see how many different colours we see over the next 2 nights, because, it's a sign of quality. It's the different types of falling leaf that people have in their shows.
I did want to ask you about colours. Are there any particular colours that are kind of more difficult to make, that stand out a bit more, that people should look out for?
I think that what we've seen tonight is a lot of what I would call Chinese colours. We've got a lot of material where they were Chinese manufactured products and fairly standard Chinese colours. What we may see in some of the other shows is more European products, and you'll notice very easily the really rich, vivid colours. The reds will be really red. Okay. The orange is really orange, and you can have several different shades of yellow. It really is very, very clever. So you can make any colours. Blues sometimes, getting a really decent blue is, I think you have to be a master craftsman to get a really decent blue.
Is this because of the chemical makeup of the fireworks?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we have a great tradition of here in the UK and before when we were in Europe is strong environmental ethics and making sure that we don't use chemicals in our fireworks that would be polluting particularly, or they would be persistent organic pollutants. One of the chemicals that the Chinese used to put in their fireworks made the blue amazing. It was the best blue you'd ever seen, but it contained a banned chemical, and UK and other countries around the world rightly banned it. And so you won't see that. The trade-off is that blues aren't quite as good as they could be.
So we are seeing a lot of colours just here in this moment as well, aren't we, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. This is like a pastel crossette section up in the sky there. And then we've got some crossettes down below that were bursting with gold trails. And these ones are pink and blue crossettes. So the crossette is a star that fires out and it splits into 4. If you look at these stars, they're splitting into 4 down at the bottom. And we saw a lot of those different crossette effects during the show. It's pretty much a staple of the firework industry. And then up above we've got red and blue, and there's a nice glitter tail and a big brocade with magenta tips going there. Oh, look at those big brocade crown style effects up in the sky there, and then a crackling effect down below, really sort of filling the width of it. Although right at the very end of the show we did see some even wider effects, fireworks sort of heading more out towards the lighthouse that's on the right-hand end there of the breakwater. Width is something. There's that jellyfish shell.
Yes.
You can see it's got the blue top and the legs were in gold down below. Here we've got swimming stars. So they're really very nice. And there's interesting patterns down below as well.
And I know you mentioned when we were looking towards the bottom down by the breakwater here, maybe the display not being as symmetrical as they may have hoped. Is that going to pick up penalty points?
No, it won't pick up any penalty points at all. It just might look at that. That's absolutely stunning. Those trailing all the way down to the water almost. Absolutely beautiful. The crowd went wow then. No, I don't think they'll lose any points, but they just might not gain points for it.
Okay.
Particularly compared to some of their fellow competitors.
Okay, well, I mean, it's great to know that, you know, if things maybe don't go quite right on the night, there's no penalty for it. It's just maybe a case of not getting as many points as you would like.
Yeah, there are certainly penalties to be had. If you don't do things safely, if you don't submit your paperwork on time, if you are overweight in the amount of fireworks, we have a limit on the amount of fireworks we can use here. There are penalties, but not for something like that.
Yeah, well, the fast-paced nature of the British Firework Championships mean, you know, there's only a 10-minute gap between displays, so we've got to move on. Sky Rascal Fireworks are the second team to fire this evening. So let's meet them and hear what they had to say.
Hi, my name's John from Sky Rascal Fireworks in Weston-super-Mare. We've been operating for 25 years, doing a lot of wedding shows, and this is the biggest show we've actually done. This evening we've got some lovely effects coming in, some Japanese, some Italian, and the items to look out for would be the ghost section, and we've got a lovely heart section, which is hearts in the air, which hopefully will go up the right way. And at the finale there's the usual brocade section, and then a sting in the towel at the end.
Well, Sky Rascal, they're saying this is their first time at this event and the biggest event they've ever done. I mean, that's a little bit of a hill to climb, possibly.
Oh, yeah, so exciting. Their crew have been looking forward to this for months and months, and they'll be glad to be here. They'll be staying down in Plymouth and enjoying some of the hostelries and everything that there is. So, yeah, they'll be really excited.
And they've said previously their forte when it comes to creating displays is detail. So what are you expecting to see from them?
Well, I spoke to John Bender and Sam Hutchins. They're on the Cobra firing system, for anybody who knows what that means. They've got a shape sequence, cube shapes in the sky. So we saw the ring shapes earlier. They're going to have cube shapes and heart shapes, heart shells in the sky with heart cakes below. They've got some fireworks that make wolf whistles, a beautiful 7-inch butterfly cylinder shell. And in fact, I've just heard that there is going to be a further delay because we have a slightly larger fire that we're having to deal with. They're putting that out right now, but that means that there is going to be a couple of minutes delay whilst that's dealt with.
You mentioned this earlier, didn't you, Andy? You said there was a complete possibility with the weather conditions that we may end up with a fire. Just remind everyone how those get addressed, because they have to be left while the display is on.
Yeah, absolutely. They are... because the firework catches fire, it's fanned by the wind, and because nobody can go in to put it out, nobody can go in to put it out or anything. Although I do understand that we've just put the fire out, so now we'll be waiting for the go-ahead to go on. But I'll carry back on with the fireworks if I may. Beautiful 7-inch butterfly cylinder shell from Sampio. Single-shot mines with turquoise colour change, a pastel section with pastel crossettes. ghost shell section. I'll tell you about that afterwards.
Please.
With Young Feng shells, which there are not many running around. Double finale. The main finale is brocade. And then we've got 4 times Sampio reports and a horsetail section. Horsetail with those big gold trails. And then 2 8-inch Kimuro 14 break horsetail shells right at the very end. So they're going to break, and then they're going to have 14 horsetails come out of each one, which will be very special. And then 80 horsetail shells in the very final hit. So a very golden, but very wide and spectacular finale when we get to it.
Yeah.
But we've just got to do the final checks, because obviously a fire puts you a little bit behind, and the adjudicator needs to check that everybody's okay. Also, the King's Harbour Master has to give their thumbs up every time for every display to make sure that the keep out area is still secure. The marshals, water marshals out in the Plymouth Sound are keeping everybody safe, and nobody has invaded the location. So once that's all done, we then eventually get the go-ahead. But we are still waiting for that.
So what is the go-ahead order in process then? We have the fire is put out, permission from...
So once the adjudicator is happy the fire's gone out, they will do a check of the water marshals, who will radio into the King's Harbour Master. The King's Harbour Master then radios into event control here on Plymouth Hoe. And then event control, once they're happy and they're ready to go ahead, they radio over to the adjudicator and give Charlotte Winship, who is in charge today over on the breakwater, they give her the green light to launch the show. So we have to go through all that process every time, and we are just waiting for all of those to happen. They won't fire the show until they're happy that Team 1's fire are dealt with and that there aren't going to be any subsequent problems. Obviously, Sky Rascal want everything to be stable. They want their firing system to be working. Here we go. 4, 3, 2.
Sky Rascal fireworks. out of breath rushing back. Me and Andy have just been around the corner making sure we can see the display, which we've now got on the screen for everybody to watch here. And I think before we get right into it, we may have another little delay before the final display of the night, because there were quite a few fires down there at Mountbatten.
Yeah, I've just been updated from the breakwater. They've got many fires on Site 1 and Site 2. They will have to be dealt with first.
Yes.
It's an occupational hazard, particularly when you're stuck out in such a beautiful breakwater as Mountbatten Breakwater, right in the middle with all the wind blowing towards it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they know what they're doing. They'll get on with it.
Good. Well, let's jump back to Sky Rascal then, and talk through their display, Andy. I mean, what did you make of it?
Really, really good start. This is their first time here at Plymouth.
Well, yeah, we mustn't forget that, actually.
And I think they have done fantastically well. I remember that when we were first starting out, before we were British champions, we had quite a few cracks at the whip going at this one, and we were not successful until 2010. And so I think they should be very happy with what they've done. We saw some beautiful products. We saw things that perhaps if they look back on it, they might change and do a different way next time. But it's only by taking part that you actually learn these skills.
Yep.
And so I think there will be, they've made their local community, their team really proud. They've got some amazing video that they can play for a very long time. And who knows? That might be a top 3 show. We just don't know. We've only seen 2 shows so far.
And as a debut to the British Firework Championships, it's not a bad debut at all. It was stunning to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw some blue coconut pistol shells. So those are the blue shells with the big golden branches inside. We saw a load of strobe shells going off, silver strobe to blue falling leaf. And we also saw you were on about
the
cube shell.
The cube shell. I was about to call it a box shell. I'm glad you stopped me.
A blue cube shell, which is, I think I only saw one, but really, really good. Really nice to see it. There's the horsetail. It's only on the left-hand side, so it's a little bit asymmetrical, but, it's only their first. There's those blue coconut pistol shells. Beautiful tail shells. We saw some lovely tails during this display. There was a red, white and blue sequence later on into the show. And I don't know whether you noticed, but some of those shells there, they had red, white and blue tails going up. And then they burst into a big red, white and blue, which I thought was absolutely lovely. They had the red heart effects.
Yes. Now, we were talking about this while we were watching it. Of course, the team mentioned they would be firing off some of these heart shapes, and they said, we just hope they go the right way round. But it's not guaranteed, is it?
It's not guaranteed, because if you think of a heart shape, it's fired from one of those like cannonball-like type fireworks. They go spinning up into the air, and when it bursts, it could be in any orientation. We make smiley face shells. Well, they can be unhappy face shells if you do them upside down. But heart faces... heart shapes in any shape, in fact, if it goes in a flat plane, it just looks like a line rather than the actual pattern. So you want it to go well. They did have red heart barrages down below. They didn't, certainly from where we were standing, you couldn't make out the heart shapes quite as much as perhaps they would have intended, but the heart shells were beautiful, and the crowd loved them.
Is that a kind of risk versus reward situation by choosing to have that in your display? If it goes well, does it perhaps impress more? And then if it doesn't go so well, it might jeopardise how you do?
Yeah, potentially. Some of these fireworks, because it's such a big competition, and the weight of the pyrotechnics that you can put into this, you have to widen your scope of fireworks that you've ever used. And so for some of these, they'll be using for the first time, and they may just be operating off videos. And if the firework doesn't function quite as it originally planned, then you're going to not quite end up with what you were expecting. We also saw a lovely rainbow sequence where we saw some really bright colours in reds, oranges. This is the heart shape. Here we go, and look down below. I think that's meant to be the hearts, and they're kind of heart-shaped, but there were a lot of different effects. Maybe there were too many or something like that, but they were beautiful, and they went into that lovely silver. Look at it. Isn't that beautiful? A crackling effect.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. I think they did well there. The rainbow sequence, they had reds, oranges, lemons, greens, and blues, and I think the thing that we need to speak about, that the audience loved the most, they had a huge brocade finale.
Oh, have we started the next team already? Or somebody just letting off some fireworks?
No, it's not intentional. There is something going off on the firing site that our teams will deal with. We'll wait to hear from the adjudicator as to what is happening.
Yeah.
We're not quite sure where it's come from, but they're going to update us on it when they get some updates. That is one of the hazards of working out there, and that's why you have to take your time when you're dealing with the fires, because there are still live fireworks out there, and it is a dangerous situation,
So
and that's why we have trained crews.
Yeah, so is this just a case maybe if the wind, you know, blows something a little bit too far, something might catch?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got quite a breeze going on at the moment, and it turns out it was fireworks from the last show that were firing off now, so some of their show has just fired early.
I know, so the final show, Pyrotex, some of their fireworks have just gone off ahead of schedule.
So that would suggest like embers from one of the previous shows have drifted over theirs and set it off.
And what will that mean for them then? Are they going to have to kind of readdress and look at their firing system, look at how things are scheduled?
It's too late for that. There's nothing that they can do. Their firework display is set in stone. There's no changes and no edits that they can do. They just have to fire their show as it is. They will no doubt appeal to the judges that they should not suffer a penalty or that they should not be put at risk or lose points for it. But I'm getting an update that there is going to be a further delay now whilst they look into the problem and they check that everything's safe before they can start firing the show. So the teams will be out there. Mark Kelsall and his team from Pyrotex will be out checking everything, trying to identify what it was, doing it as quickly as possible if they know that we don't want to wait, but equally doing it safely. That's the most important thing.
Okay, well, while they're looking and addressing that, let's just go back then to our second team of this evening, Sky Rascal. As you can see, the replay is still firing in front of us. You know, we're getting into this area of really beautiful, warm colours that we're seeing as well.
Yeah, some really clever shapes. This sequence was really, really impressive. We're getting further into the display now, and they've got some some brocade mines at the bottom, and then you've got some comets that are going up and bursting into brocade effects above, and then the shells. Can you see that you've got about 3 or 4 different layers there in the sky, and that's really what you want to be doing with the show. You want to do, you want width, and you want all different kinds of effects. But I should just mention, their brocade finale really had the crowd cheering. That was a real pleaser. And we saw those big horsetail effects that were drifting down in the sky. That got a real loud cheer from the crowd. And the latest update is now Team 3 Pyrotex are doing their final checks on the firing system. So hopefully we'll be able to go ahead with it sooner.
Great. Well, let's hear from them very quickly before they fire. Here is Pyrotex.
Hello, my name is Mark Kelsall. I'm the owner and designer of Pyrotex Fireworks. So this is our first time in Plymouth, and we've been competing in competitions since 2010. I've first been in Southport, which was a pyro musical. This is a little bit different because it's a traditional firework display, non-musical, so it's a little bit more difficult to design. We have a crew of 9 with us today. Things to see with our show, it's very traditional. There'll be a lot of effects that a lot of people haven't seen, especially in this country. And we've had a lot of material made for the finale by a local company. So the finale, we've got a big finale and a very noisy one.
Pyrotex Fireworks there, who are going to be our last team of the evening. I said previously they were new, but they're just new to the championships tonight. They are a very well-respected company.
Yeah, Mark's been working all over the world this year. Canada, France, Mexico, Korea, Philippines, Lithuania, Germany. Only this year, he's won a big competition in Canada, the Celebration of Light, on July the 27th. Really good, but he's put on a big show for us, mixed effects, but done differently. He's studied the videos. He says he's found a different way to do Plymouth traditional effects in a different way. Big opening finale, and then a second finale at the end with big gold brocade and red strobe with Illusion Pyrotechnics British-made fireworks making lots of noise in the sky. 18 seconds of pure black titanium salutes. What he calls a ferocious ending, that's getting louder and louder, 80 salutes at the end, and then a big thump and 5-inch dark titanium salute shells. These are things that are going to make a big bang, and we're really going to feel it on our chest.
Yeah.
Rainbow shells, he calls them vomit shells.
Vomit?
Vomit. We need to look out for these, okay? And that's because they're like horsetail shells, but they'll have rainbow mixed-coloured stars. And he calls them vomit shells because they fall faster than a normal horsetail. And so we'll look out to those, and they go multicoloured stars, and then they have a salute, so they go bang at the end. A lot of single-shot sequences and a European selection, 1 minute Spanish, and then 1 minute Italian fireworks, with fireworks from Igual, Perderte, Ricasa, Europa, Cabaya, and some really unusual products. I think it's one to look out for. And he told me, I asked him, how do you design your shows?
Yep.
Do you use a computer system to visualize everything that you're going to do, or what do you do? No, it's all in his head. It's entirely in his head, and he says that he actually keeps a board next to his bed at home, so if he wakes up in the middle of the night having an idea of what to do in a fireworks display, he can write it down.
So this display may well have come to him in a dream, and we're seeing it unveiled before our very eyes this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think a lot of people will be looking forward to it. We've had the green light from the King's Harbour Master, so we are making progress through.
Finger hovering over the button probably as we speak shortly.
Not quite yet. I haven't had a 1 minute warning, but you know, sometimes they don't give us a warning, do they?
No, yeah, famously. Well, it's nice to know that it didn't start 10 minutes ago like we almost thought it did. And they're one of the most awarded companies in the UK, Pyrotex, is that right?
Yeah, so the Vancouver Celebration of Light competition that he was doing in Canada on July the 27th really is, you know, creme de la creme of firework competitions. They won the Gold Jury Award and also the Public Gold Award in their competition as well. I was speaking to Mark. He's been travelling all over the world, and I think he feels that he's probably overdone it a little bit. But do you know what? Pyrotex, they may be a really good company, but they can have a problem as well. And just like we've seen, some of their displays just fired. Who knows? It's one of the things of fireworks. You can have a bad day at the office. Hopefully they won't have that. But really, that's why this competition is so exciting, because it really is anybody's. And you can get surprise results just because somebody who is one of the favourites comes in and doesn't have a good show. So fingers crossed for Pyrotex and all of the teams that everything goes. 1 minute warning. 1 minute warning.
Oh, here we go. You said before Pyrotex would probably be one of the ones to watch for this British Firework Championships. And I think regardless of what's just happened, it will certainly be the case.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're definitely a contender. We will have contenders, I'm sure, tomorrow night as well. But yeah, it's going to be something very special. The adjudicator from the Event Services Association, Charlotte, has just given the green light. So we are like literally counting down in the final seconds. Finger is hovering over. They're using the Fire One firing system again here tonight. So we're just waiting for them to start going. The 10-second countdown any moment now.
Okay, somebody's ready to push the button. Everyone here is very excited, looking forward to the final display of the evening.
9, 8,
7, 6. Here it is,
5,
your final display
4,
of tonight,
3,
Pyrotex
2,
fireworks.
1.
Well, Andy, that certainly was a big finale there from Pyrotex Fireworks.
Yeah, I think they could hear that in Jenny Cliff and Mount Edgecombe. I mean, that was incredible. Definitely the favourite of the audience tonight. That loud finale that was just building and building and getting louder and louder, and the big brocade crown effects with the red in there as well. Absolutely stunning at the end, but it was also stunning at the beginning as well.
It was a big beginning and a big end, I thought.
Yeah, we had this build-up. We're just in the opening, and we're just seeing these silver strobe falling leaf effects. And then we've got the silver strobe down below, and then we get this silver strobe with orange stars, and then these tails. And then eventually, these silver strobe tails go into a huge silver strobe. It was their finale one, their opening finale, and then they had another one at the end.
Yes.
Look at that. Filling the sky. Audience loved this.
It's so vibrant, and it appears that whatever happened prior, the accidental firing, doesn't seem, certainly to a layman's eye, it hasn't impacted their display.
I didn't spot it at all. You wouldn't have known, would you? You wouldn't have known.
No. I mean, when you were looking at this, you were pointing out the different kind of locations of the fireworks. We had European fireworks, we had Chinese fireworks, and you're able to distinguish the vibrancy of these colours as well.
Yeah, look at those blue falling leaf effects, which is pretty rare for you to actually see. The blue falling leaf is an unusual one. There's only limited places that you can get them in the United Kingdom. So he's really brought us variety and different effects. And one of the things that we certainly saw in the second half of this display was some really, really vibrant colours and also some special patterns in the sky. And that was European products that were really coming into play there. But we also saw, did you see the ghost shells?
Yes, you mentioned these beforehand.
The ghost shells are where they sort of start off with a pattern on one side, then that disappears and moves on to the next segment and then next segment. And sometimes they go back and forth. In Japan, they make ghost shells that are completely off the scale. They're the most sensational firework that you can see. But some of these manufacturers, we've got European manufacturers making those fireworks, even the Chinese trying their hand at it, not always winning, but we saw a load of those. We also saw smiley face shells.
We did, because you were speaking about the heart-shaped fireworks, making sure they go the right way round. There was one smiley face in particular, bang on the money.
Yeah, absolutely. The smiley faces, loads of them filled out. And these are called pillar mines down below. And in fact, just before that, we saw some beautiful multicoloured rings with a beautiful gold or yellow glitter pistol from European factories as well. So just such a broad spectrum of different fireworks and different colours.
Yeah, I mean, not having the time constraints from being the last display, we'll actually be able to look through this in its entirety. And there were just so many different points that, I could hear you were impressed by during this.
Yeah, here's the pastel shell sequence. All of the teams have had a pastel sequence. I think the colours in this particular one were a little bit punchier than some of the other colours. And again, that's something that the technical judges will notice. They'll notice the difference between certain manufacturers and other manufacturers, the quality of fireworks like that. It doesn't always come across on the television when you're watching it, but certainly if you're here in Plymouth, it's something that you really do get across. Look at those. That's a lovely yellow glitter. People were sort of going, wow, there when we saw those in the show. Out
of interest, Andy, when you mention each team this evening having these pastel displays, is there trends in fireworks? Have they all chosen to use that because that's, kind of like the in thing for displays this year, or is it a coincidence?
No, I can remember years ago, probably 20 years ago, when a company called Lidu brought in what was the new type colour crossette and new pastel crossettes, and they were absolutely beautiful. Normally, up until then, the Chinese had been making sort of red, green, blue fireworks. They had been just using pretty standard colours, and then this new colour crossettes came out, and everybody was like, wow. Yeah. And then ever since then, all of those colours have featured in a lot of the shows. But really, I think the Chinese emulating some of the effects that the Europeans produce is one of the things that they're working really hard on. There are some very high-end Chinese manufacturers now that you can spend a lot of money with, and they will give products as good as Japanese fireworks. Japanese shells are the most beautiful ones that I've ever seen. Yeah. I've been to Japan, seen them. It was just incredible. But for me to bring in a container load of Japanese shells, it would be cheaper to import gold, I would have thought.
Oh, wow.
They are so expensive. Look at that.
Horsetails?
Yeah, horsetails, and with a gold glitter on the end of it. Really beautiful. Really beautiful going on. And then falling leaf shells, red falling leaves, silver falling leaf, green falling leaves. Really, really beautiful. And in fact, I can tell you, out on the breakwater, they're all really busy. There's been a few more fires. They're putting those out, and they're cracking on with that. But they will. That's what they're trained for.
Yeah, I mean, the work doesn't end now that the display is fired. They've got to, you know, get everything out ready for tomorrow night's teams.
Yeah, I should imagine they'll be out off the breakwater in a couple of hours.
Okay.
And back to relax in some Plymouth hospitality. And then tomorrow morning, the teams will be back down here from 7 o'clock. Starting work, and they'll be hoping that they have a dry day and that the wind isn't too bad, because one of the problems with the breakwater is if you get the wind from the wrong direction, you can actually have waves crashing over, and then they can really drench some of the fireworks setup. So it'll be interesting to see tomorrow night how the 34, 35 mile an hour gusting winds, whether they have impacted on the displays or not, whether the crews have suffered or whether it's okay. One of the good things, though, is here in Plymouth is that the winds usually die down in the evening, so we can expect a calmer evening, wind going in a slightly different direction to tonight.
Yeah, the wind in particular this evening, I mean, I suppose when you're down there, it's not particularly convenient, but being able to watch it and not have the smoke blown in front of the displays is certainly beneficial for everybody spectating.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate tonight. We've had a lovely view of these fireworks. We saw some really beautiful pillar mines actually coming up in a little while. Those were the ones that made columns from the ground upwards, and they were colour changing.
Yes.
And the audience loved those pillar mines. It's always good when the wind doesn't take the smoke towards the audience. Tonight, I think it's going to be sort of blowing towards Queen Anne's Battery and in that general direction tomorrow night. That's not a problem. That's the typical prevailing wind in the UK. So it's probably the wind that we experience the most here in Plymouth. Shouldn't be too problematic. I think we just saw some heart shells here.
Yep.
Heart shells they had more heart shells, didn't they? Similar type to Team 2, but more of them, which was very interesting. And one of my favourite shells, which might be coming up, there was a big brocade crown effect with a ring of coloured stars all around the outside in really vivid, bright colours. To me, that I was just, oh wow, that was really special. And the other thing about this show is, I don't know whether you noticed the rhythmic firing. The technical judges will be looking for that. The rat-a-tat-tat, the beats of and the following of the pattern. It's something perhaps local, the lay judges may not have picked up on, but the technical judges definitely will.
Well, Pyrotex are known for pyro musical displays, aren't they? So is that something, you know, with the rhythmic firing, does that contribute in their speciality there? Yeah,
Mark told me that this was his first non-musical display that he'd ever fired. And I think that, you know, that's fantastic. It's certainly competition. Yeah, it's a different style of show. There are other competitions in the UK. This is the biggest one here in Plymouth, but it is not to music, and it is a different discipline. Different skills are required.
And we're really about a minute and a half left of the replay of this display, so we're building up now towards that huge, noisy finale. What was the name of the shells that make those really loud bangs that's so noticeable?
So those were titanium salute shells,
okay.
And if you remember, they're made by a company called Illusion Pyrotechnics, who are based in Kent. We looked at some of those. They looked very fancy, didn't they? In silver and black and pink and white wrapping paper, and there was even a sheet of gold paper in the box, if you remember.
Oh yes, we held these. So these are.
And they had 5-inch salutes was the largest one. It's not the only team that's got the Illusion Pyrotechnic shells in them, but it's the first time really they've been seen. This is the first year, and do you remember some of them were only made a few days ago?
They were 12th of August, I think, was the date on some of the ones we had a look. So freshly made, freshly fired here in Plymouth tonight.
So this is coming into that finale now. The brocades, we've got crackling crossettes there, those stars that split into 4, and then crackling effects above with little red tips on the ends of those. Starting to build this sort of atmosphere, because this is getting quite noisy now with all these crackling tails in the sky. Every single thing that you can see there is crackling. And now we start bringing in a bit of noise and the lower level fireworks there as well. Really, really building up to quite a crescendo, and some lightning shells. I can see those red flashes, and here come those brocades. Look at that.
Yeah. It just builds and builds and builds. You kind of thought they'd done the finale and then they added more.
And when you see the flashes starting to appear on the screen, each one of those is a bang. And you'll notice they get more and more intense. They're just quite low down now, and they get higher up in the sky. So as they get higher up, they're actually bigger bursts and they're really loud. We heard this. I mean, this is the loudest by far. Look at that, all those flashes.
I mean, we are only halfway through the competition by the end of this evening, Andy. There's still 3 more teams to fire. Looking at what we've had so far, any favourites standing out to you?
I think the audience favourite and probably our favourite would be Pyrotex. They've done very, very well there. But we also know that, you know, we've got 3 new teams tomorrow night, Anytime Fireworks, Celestial Fireworks Displays and BBB Fireworks, and we know that they're giving it a go, and they will have known the pedigree that they're up against, and so they will, I'm sure, have given it a real good competition. There's something psychological about firing last on the last night, so BBB may well have put in an awful lot of effort into trying to beat that, and then it will really be, the judges will have a difficult choice on their hands, potentially.
And as we look forward then to night 2, the final night of the British Firework Championships, we've got 3 more amazing teams. Based on the, you know, the psychology of the atmosphere, you think they are going to bring it even more for the final night?
Yeah, we've got a fight on our hands. We absolutely do. And even though it's going to be a rougher day weather-wise tomorrow, I think hopefully we'll have dry conditions. There's no guarantee of that. But, yeah, those shows will go on. I've spoken with the adjudicator and the technical manager there, and they're confident that all of tomorrow night's shows will go on. So the competition's going to go ahead.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to it. Under 24 hours to go, of course, until we see that again. Andy, thank you so much for being with us and bringing your expertise to this evening. Thank you so much to all of you who have been watching online and everyone here on Plymouth Hoe as well. Like we said, another night to go, so do join us again from 9 o'clock tomorrow on all of our live streaming platforms to bring you night 2 of the British Firework Championships. See you then.
Thank you.